Welcome from the Masonic Journey podcast. I'm Josh Kelly, and we have with us
Keith Jones,
Justin Hess,
Lee Cook,
Patrick Hill.
So we are meeting here today and having just a good time. We've just finished up Grotto, which Grotto is a great group. So today we're going to be drinking a little bit of Larceny, small batch, weeded bourbon, mash bill. So we're going to drink this a little bit here as we go. We have some cheeses we're going to taste here as well. But we're going to talk today about the power of positivity. Positivity is talked about a lot in Freemasonry. And we talk a lot about changing your mindset, thinking a little differently. Well, it's a heavy pour. All right, let's call this a day. So Larceny small batch is the #1 bourbon by Whiskey Magazine for 2023. So I know we're living in the past here, but good stuff. We also have some cheeses here for our festive board. We've got, these are cheeses by Dana. Dana has a cheese company. It's going to be a charcuterie company pretty soon. So she's going to be, she provided a few cheeses for us to taste, and we'll talk about those in a second. We have, this is a sheep cheese.
not a sheep, a sheep.
Not sheep, a sheep. Correct.
All right, Lee.
A ewe.
cheese?
We we have Bellavitano Merlot cheese, which is a cheese with Merlot flavor to it. We have a pumpkin cheese. And then we have this here. This is a Bello. It's all hard cheeses today. So we have a powerful snack Bello. How do you say that? Gioioso.
Yeah, something like that.
Belgio. You know, we're gonna have Dana on here in a couple of weeks, and she's gonna tell us about it.
Correct our cheese grammar.
Yes,
That's
correct our cheese grammar.
so this comes in and out.
Gioioso. We're gonna say Gioioso. Parmesan. As I had mentioned before, we are professional tasters. In other words, we like to eat stuff. All Freemasons like to eat stuff. If you want to become a Freemason, we eat a lot. In fact, now I have to say something here because when I came tonight to Grotto, I was a little iffy on our meal because we had chicken pot pie. Now, here's the thing about chicken pot pie. Chicken pot pie and I have a little bit of a sordid history. However, the chicken pot pie we had tonight was fantastic. It was from
Costco.
Now, Costco's not a sponsor of the Masonic Journey, but I would say that was a fantastic.
I've never had a chicken pot pie that had fillets of chicken breast in it.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, there was flakes of like chicken.
Yeah, it was.
Palm-sized chicken
That was
breast.
good stuff. Now, yeah, exactly. You're welcome, Costco, for the free advertising.
I was very impressed.
We were happy with the thank you, brother Keith Jones for bringing.
I'd recommend not cooking it for an hour on the griddle.
However, we have an oven, a professional oven that has separate griddle and oven set knobs. Now, let's just say we did cook this pot pie
For an hour.
for an hour with the griddle on, but not the oven on. So we're a little bit late in starting our video here tonight because we waited for the chicken pot.
Now, is that why our bottle was down here?
So it was a full bottle earlier, for the record, but we have Larceny. That's a good one. I actually got this from Macadoodles, and it's fantastic. Actually, it was the gift set. It came with a leather wrapped.
What is this right now? That's a beautiful piece.
That's true.
There.
That's true.
I just have salt.
Want to go grab one?
Yeah,
Go grab
a
it.
lighter for our cigars. Is
Yeah, go grab it. Now, keep in mind you're still on the microphone. And yeah, exactly. So now that picks him up just great over there. So yeah, we can taste this. We're not professional sommeliers, but we'll definitely taste. So the gift set for Larceny this year is a leather wrapped Larceny bourbon glass. You probably might not be able to read this, it's fine, but it's Larceny bourbon. Nice. Now, my brother Patrick here is a leather worker by trade. By trade and hobby. But I don't think he makes money at it. but he enjoys doing leatherworking, and this is actually really well done.
It is.
Well done. Yeah.
For swag in a whiskey bottle, that's probably one of the nicest things I've seen in a package like that.
That is really nice. It is. Now, I will say when you try a whiskey in there, keep in mind that you'll get a heavy leather scent, which will change the taste of whichever you're tasting to give you a little leather. Right now, all I smell is the stogies, but yeah. So, so we got some cheeses as well from Dana. Now, Dana's going to start a charcuterie company. We have cheeses by Dana here. We have several cheeses that we're going to be snacking on as we go on through the rest of the conversation. So she gave us a nice Merlot cheese. Now this is a Bellavitano Sartori Merlot. So which is a great cheese. So that's the Merlot cheese. That's the one right here. So I'm going to try one right now. Actually.
It's really good. I believe it's from Wisconsin. It's a Wisconsin cheese, is it not?
Is it? I don't know.
I think it is.
Bellavitano Sartori. It has a fancy name.
It's really good. Thank you, brother. Whoa. Mine crumbles.
That's good. It's all right. This has a really good, and you get the Merlot taste a little bit now. She also gave us I'm going to finish this off here. She also gave us a sheep cheese.
Not cheap, right?
Not cheap, sheep. Good sheep cheese here. And we have also just some Parmesan. Villagioso Parmesan. It's a powerful snack. Comes in a package like this. You can grab this. Nice little cheese. There's a pumpkin cheese as well. It's from a Beamstill. It's a pumpkin cheese. There's pumpkin cheese right over here, so grab it. So we're going to stack on as we go, so feel free to grab one as you go, but as we talk and as we have our conversation. So, man, that Merlot cheese is already gone.
It's very good.
That brought me joy for sure.
And the sheep cheese, is very good.
Yeah, the sheep cheese is sheep cheese, not cheap cheese. Dyslexic.
Craig, that reminds me of an old joke we used to have back in the day. I used to go,
Yeah.
Ed Pinniger had a beautiful limousine farm, and we'd go out there with his cows, and we'd go to a little cafe, and he'd always order the herdsman special.
Yeah.
It'd be a ribeye and a side of you when he's talking to the waitress.
I've heard similar stories.
Yes. We have lots of all right. So we have some good cheese we're going to be snacking on as we go, but we want to talk a little bit today about the power of positivity. Now, the great thing with the power of positivity is an important concept, not only in Freemasonry but in life. You know, I've been listening to some records that have been turned into digital audio. It's on Apple Music for free. Well, if you subscribe to Apple Music, it's for free. It's also on YouTube. Earl Nightingale wrote a cool book that I love it. First of all, because I love Earl Nightingale's voice.
Yeah.
He's a radio man.
Yes. He was made to speak.
He's a radio man and a Mason. Now, his Mason roots are a little bit iffy, but we're going to claim them today here.
Well, when you hear a man speak of conviction,
Yeah.
as Earl Nightingale did, and if you don't mind, I'd like to tell a little origin story.
Oh.
My grandfather was he read and installed the Missouri State, a computer system. Hard in Mensa. Very bright man. But that man loved the dollar boxes at every auction and every home estate sale we went to. So each summer, I'd go out to Russellville, Missouri, outside of Jefferson City, and we would, during my summer, we'd go to the estate sales, the auctions.
Yeah.
And, the dollar boxes were always at the end of the auction. And so I was sitting there in the barn while he was rummaging through the boxes, and I just heard this voice. And it was a very captivating message. I was enthralled by it. I just sat there. It was by the register where they're taking the till, where they're taking the money for what you bought at the auction. I just sat there and I listened to that, probably the whole record.
Right.
And it was probably 10 years. I maybe was 12.
Mhm.
11, 12 at the time. I know I wasn't a teenager,
Right.
but it was about 10 years later that YouTube opened it up. I was sitting there, of course, when you search, you get suggested stuff.
Right.
And next thing I know, I had this, I know that voice.
Yeah.
I know that message.
Yeah.
And at that time is when I learned his name. It was Earl Nightingale.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to think of, when you're a child, you kind of have memories of things. But it was really interesting that I could pick out that voice.
Right.
I could pick out that message. And it was still as prevalent in my heart and who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it again. And it's crazy how just something, you smell something, you hear it, you use your senses. It was so crazy. It just lit it back up to me. And that expanded my journey. That's when I found about Napoleon Hill. And maybe I had ventured into some Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, but they all shared the same message. They were all each other's mentors.
Right.
And I just, I always love that. It's
So
put yourself in a position for a black swan to appear.
Right. So the basis of Earl Nightingale's message and the actual audio, if you want to listen to it, it's fantastic. It's called the strangest secret. And I would recommend that everybody listens to that.
It's not a big book either.
It's not. It's like 30. It's 30 minutes. His chapters now. I'm pretty sure it wasn't chapters back then. It was side 1 and side 2.
Right.
In chapter 4, it says, "Now that you turn to side 2 of the record, and it's deep moving. Now that you turn to side 2 on the record."
Yeah.
So the first half is just basically coming up with the concept. And this idea of you become what you think about. You become what you think about. And I think it's found in every religion in the world. This idea and this truth is an ancient truth. Every religion in the world has this idea of you become what you think about. Christianity has this idea of as if you believe, all things are possible to him who believes. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Every belief system in the world has this idea of this knowledge of you become what you think about. And when you think positive things, you get positive results. When you think negative things, you get negative results. Paul said in the Philippians, he said, whatever's true, whatever's honest, whatever's just, whatever's faithful, whatever's of good report, if there's any virtue, anything is virtuous, if there's anything worthy of praise, think on these things. I think that's an important concept we've lost. And I would say especially in the last few years.
Certainly. We have a lot of outside, I wouldn't say influences, but, I guess, we were talking about microplastics alone. It's amazing what we allow to leach into our bodies. Not necessarily our physical body, but our spiritual bodies. What are you letting leach into you? And then what are you letting ripple out from you?
So there's a lot of negativity in the world today.
You're exactly right.
That we live with every day.
Now, Patrick, the reason why I'm glad Patrick is on here with us today, Patrick shared some stories with us during our chicken pot pie dinner, which was fantastic.
You are.
Monarch of
The monarch of Grotto. He is the newly elected monarch of Grotto. He has not been installed yet. The current monarch is still Lee Cook until installation.
And our worship man.
He's short-termer.
Short timer. Nothing's going to be done between now and the next meeting, as far as I know, except maybe Christmas dinner or something.
Or a little more largely.
Now, what's cool is when we introduced Keith here to our pass this. Yeah, you finished. Oh, you're done. Okay. Well, come on.
I'm not saying I'm done.
All right. So Keith. So when Keith was here, he mentioned the tall cedars of Lebanon. Now the current. What's the grand tall cedar
Grand Tulsi.
of what? Of the Ozarks.
Ozark chapter.
What chapter?
211.
211. Okay,
211.
so the current tall is Patrick. Yes, and Patrick is a great brother. He teaches or doesn't teach.
I'm on staff.
He's on staff at Missouri State University. And he does some pretty cool things in his staff. He does leatherworking as on the side. He does metalworking. He does some cool stuff. He works with his hands.
I mean,
Yeah. He works with his
Brilliant
hands.
man.
And so I love talking to him because I like craftsman stuff a lot. But one thing you talked about, and I'm going to kind of let you talk a little bit about one thing you talked about is your struggle and your battle you had with cancer.
Stage 4, was it not?
Right. About 20 some years ago, I had stage 4 cancer. And I decided at that time, so many people were, oh, you got cancer, you're going to die. And you know what?
Stage 4 is nothing to joke about.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
It's advanced.
And I made a decision that I'm going to not worry about the little things. You know, the burr under your saddle. Just don't let that stuff eat away.
Right.
And I always try to look for the positive in a situation.
Right.
You know, if I knock a glass over and it breaks, you know, I'll find something, whatever it may be, you know.
Yeah.
Well, at least it was empty. I didn't waste any whiskey.
There you go.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, exactly.
there's always something that if you take the time and think about it a little bit,
Yeah.
You can find a joke in it, you can find meaning in it, but so much, and I mean, this was 20 some years ago when I made this decision. And if you think it and you believe it, you'll become it.
You're exactly right.
But it's the same with raising children or anything. I mean, you've got to look at all these misfortunes as a positive
Exactly.
and not chastise and get on your children for some things that weren't their fault. You can't let the burdens of your day influence their lives and other people's lives.
Don't let your inflammation
That's right.
ripple to them.
Ripple to anybody else.
Yeah. It's, I mean, today, I was going to go to lunch around 2.
Right.
And students were checking cameras in. They were all supposed to be in by the end of the day on Tuesday. And a bunch of them decided that they'll check them in today. So now I'm going to accept it.
Right.
And I was kind of getting bitchy.
The end of a semester.
And I was kind of getting a little snappy, and I apologized to him. Said, you know, sorry, I'm just a little bit bitchy right now. I haven't eaten all day, and it's 3:30 in the afternoon. And I apologized to him.
Right.
And had me a Snickers bar with some
Got the bed.
peanut butter on it.
Snickers bar with peanut butter?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
No, that's
No, you've inspired me.
And you know, after that, and a Mountain Dew, I started feeling more myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Not a Betty White anymore.
I was gonna say
Betty White. That reminds me of the commercials.
That's
Betty White commercial. Yeah.
so
You know, brother, you brought up a good point, and I think that is a good thing that we could hit on. Was, you know, it is up to us at any given point to be inside of that emotion.
Yeah.
I can keep it for a second. I can keep it for a minute. Boy, I could keep that emotion for a year. I can keep it for
Right.
a fit. So, I mean, when we think of skill acquisition, anybody can learn a new skill as long as there's the retention level to it. We go to lodge, right? We want to learn proficiency. Well, I won't be proficient if I won't put the retention level. I have to actively seek, put proficiency in that. So when I go through my day to day, I want to consciously be thinking of my energy. Am I being pessimistic or am I being optimistic? Charles, you could probably help me with this scripture. I believe there's a story where, you know, the disciple of Jesus are walking down the road and they see a dead dog, and he looks, that dog had beautiful teeth. It didn't look at the negativity or anything. That dog had beautiful teeth. What teeth that dog was? It could have looked at all the ugly sitting there laying dead on the road, but no. What beautiful teeth.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's up to us at any point in time. But if we consciously train our subconscious to think in that manner, Imagine what ripples you go through when you hold the door for the person and you walk them to the gas station. As you greet the person being of service to you, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Serving a table, doing anything to you. Your interaction with them is going to carry over, and that person can carry over.
Yeah.
So when the people come to you and say, "Oh, you got cancer, oh, well, no, I'm vibrant, healthy, I'm abundance."
Yeah.
And brother, I feel like you carried that through. You told me every morning you got on that motorcycle. You found the joys of your life.
I rode that motorcycle every single day.
I believe that's why you're sitting here eating cheese, drinking whiskey.
And it's
That's some fantastic cheese. This is that Parmesan.
That's that Parmesan. Yeah, it's Bellagioso.
And as Patrick said, we've got to know the limitations and the things that affect us.
Yeah.
So he was saying that he was hungry.
Yeah.
And my wife is one that is very affected by being hungry, hangry.
Hang.
Yeah.
Hangry.
I,
And
my
you
wife
need
as
to
well.
know your limitations and what affects you.
Mikey Mason
You know.
is a comedic songwriter.
Right.
Hi, Mikey. And he has a wonderful song called Hangry.
Hang.
And you got to know that where your stress is coming from or what's causing your anxiety or your attitude or your mental capacity there.
Yeah.
And know what you need to do to fix it.
Right.
And
A little bit of self-examination, especially in a positive way, will go a long way towards making yourself feel better and making the people you're working with
right.
feel better.
Right.
Well, I'd say there's three ways you can be. You can be, well, there's three types of people. And there's arrogance, there's stupid, and there's ignorance. I don't believe many people are stupid, but I believe in my own heart I have been arrogant.
Yeah.
And
Surely not.
But I think, that's the thing. Our fears and alibis limit us to expansion. If I want to be a positive ripple in this world, and I'm not consciously trying to be the man deserving of that abundance,
Right.
well, then I'm never going to come. I will never, that gestation period of what I want and that energy will never come to me if I don't, and he said that, Earl Nightingale, at a drop of a moment, you can change who you are within that second. It is up to you to retain that energy.
It is a choice.
As I have heard it said, there's those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that wonder what happened. So that's your ignorance and your
Yeah.
And I'd like to touch on something right here.
Yeah.
I called someone ignorant the other day.
Right.
And they kind of, how dare you? I said, wait a minute, you don't understand. You don't know something. Ignorance is a lack of knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
I can fix that problem.
Right.
It had to do with a 35 millimeter camera, loading the camera properly and making the film run properly. And they were doing it just a little off. And we sat down, we went over it, and she said, my teacher didn't teach it that way. I said, well, I work on the equipment, I know the equipment,
Right.
and that's what you need to do.
Mhm.
And then later she said, when you said ignorant, I was kind of upset, but when you explained yourself, I realized you're right. I was ignorant of how to do it.
Well, it became a hyper-arousal scenario for her because you didn't understand how to just receive and comprehend. If we all lived in the ideology where you could tell me I'm wrong and I tell you you're wrong without this emotional hyper-arousal scenario, you hurt me.
That's kind of called masonry. That's one of our tenets is where if you see a brother going the wrong direction or doing something wrong, you confront him.
You
don't
whisper
talk
in his
about
ear.
it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You whisper in his ear and say, hey, brother, you need to change this.
There's a story about Winston Churchill where a lady approached him one night and she said that you're drunk. And he said, yes, ma'am, and you're ugly. But in the morning, I will no longer be drunk.
There you go. I love that. Anything Churchill or Ben Franklin.
Yeah, that's great.
Churchill was such a good man
Yes.
and a Freemason. And he could use simple words with $90 word effects.
True. Yeah.
like a Buffalo Trace and Bland. And you got your premium flavor on a budget. I'll drink that. Cheers, cheers.
You can take time out for cheese.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So, it's, I love this idea and his thoughts. And yeah, there are some, you can get out of sorts with just about anything. You really can. Now, I'm in sales. And sales is a very, you got to be used to securing no. And you got to learn not to take no for an answer. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's, no does not always mean no. Unless it, okay, so hang on. No means no in one sense, but no sometimes is I don't understand.
Right.
All right.
What courage it takes for someone to actually say that. I don't know. I don't understand.
Oh, that's one.
People are so scared of that these days.
It's just like with inventors or anything else. I mean, Edison and all the others, talked about all the failures that he had.
Yeah.
But
10,000 times.
How lucky was him to fail that many times
Yeah.
to come up with such a marvelous invention?
That's what. Anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's just.
No, you were exactly right. No, right.
I started out as a chemistry student when I started. It was SMSU back then,
Yeah.
spring of 1990. And I did 5 years as a chemistry student
Mhm.
before I accidentally took an art class, and that's where I went.
Yeah.
But we were watching, or had a scientist was giving a presentation,
Mm-hmm.
and when he was done, one of the senior chemistry students said, "Doctor, what is the purpose of your experimentation? What will it be good for?"
Right.
He said, "I have not a clue." And I kind of had an epiphany at that point. And ever since then, I mean, like I said, that was probably 95, spring 95, fall 95, somewhere there. And I kind of had an epiphany, and ever since then, when people say something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is a perfectly good answer.
Probably one of the
That's the
best.
beginning of knowledge.
Right. And the next sentence should be, "I'll find out."
Or will you teach me?
Exactly.
That's you don't hear that often enough, Lee. Yeah, because I mean that is the thing. Should you ask, or could that person there be able to teach you that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that, as you alluded to, ignorance is lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to seek it, well, then that's folly on you.
Exactly.
Well,
Ignorance is a lack of knowledge.
It is.
Ignorance is not something to be afraid of. And we're all ignorant until we look. I was ignorant of many, the pumpkin cheese.
The pumpkin is not the favorite. I have tried.
I would be honest, that pumpkin, the initial flavor is like, yo, this is good.
Yeah.
But
The more
the
you
back
drink,
end
the
of
better
it-
it gets.
The more you eat of it, the more you want to drink.
Yeah. Dana,
I will say this.
Dana, thank you. I met you the other day. We love you. Thank you so much for providing this. So, yeah.
Just to bring
But those who love pumpkin spice, this is great cheese.
problem.
And it'll make you like larceny even better.
That's right.
I hope you get a kick out of this, Dana.
We're talking about energy and stuff, but
Yeah.
we've hit a lot on ignorance. Dana is obviously very knowledgeable in cheese. And
Right.
if you told me cheese was this and it's supposed to be this, and I sat there and said, well, I learned cheese was this.
You just missed an opportunity.
Exactly. How arrogant
Yeah.
was I to miss that chance to learn something that I did not know?
Yeah.
Experience comes from being inexperienced.
Yeah.
We were all inexperienced the first time we've done anything. Everyone look at us, we become experienced.
Yeah.
So don't be scared of that.
As an electrician, and still having the terms apprentice and journeyman and master and that kind of thing. They say the difference between an apprentice and a master is that a master has failed more times than the apprentice has even tried.
That is
Yeah.
so true.
So
Well, what are you doing this 10,000 hours of mastering something.
Yeah, I mean, you've just found a lot of ways that didn't work until you
Right.
found the ones that did.
Right.
On that point, I'm going to throw out one of my favorite quotes. And this digital artist came back in about 2 hours and gave a presentation to the businessman that had commissioned him to do some artwork.
Right.
And he said, "How do you see charging me that much money for what you did in 2 hours?" He said, "Because I spent 5,000 hours learning how to do it in 2 hours."
Right. Yeah.
And that falls right under that, if you put the time in and not only just learn from mistakes, but actually seek to learn by other people around you or books or YouTube you or whatever. But if you try to improve yourself and you spend enough time at it, I don't care if you start out, you can't draw a figure or you can draw a stick figure. If you put in 5,000 or 10,000 hours, you'll be able to draw.
Yeah.
There's so many stories and analysis of that. You hear the story about the mechanic. The lady brought the car in and it's rattling and making a bad noise. The mechanic looks it over for a little bit, taps it with a hammer, and charges her $40. She goes, "You charged me $40 to hit my engine with a hammer?" He said, "No, the hitting with a hammer was free." He said, "Knowing where to hit cost you $40. And so that's the experience of being a lifetime mechanic, is knowing what's wrong and where to apply.
Well, I mean, we could rudimentary. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up around a wood stove. My mother, my grandfather, everybody said that thing is hot, don't touch it.
Mhm.
And it took me to touch it. It took courage for me to touch it, to burn myself, to realize that is hot. They're right. But now as an older man, if you can't find someone to teach you, look within books. So that's what I love about reading and being around other men and women that have learned the hard way. Is I get to learn through their trials.
Yeah.
As long as I'm courageous to follow suit and not make the same mistakes that I learned that they made,
Yeah.
I may be able to prosper.
Exactly.
Because I think to master something, I think there's a statistic out there. If you spend 15 minutes a day doing something, you'll be 90 to 100% better at it than the average person.
I
You can do that from train of thought, your energy, what you're putting out in the world. If you're just consciously thinking of how you're being within those 15 minutes, just a day, those compound.
And push the positivity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're thinking about this, think, okay, so I knocked that glass over. It broke.
Yeah.
Where can I get positive feedback from that? Well, don't knock the glass over again.
Yeah.
Use it as a learning experience.
How lucky are you to be able to choose a new glass?
Yeah.
Yes. Although,
And some
These
lessons
are really nice.
some lessons are harder.
Flea market, fine.
go ahead. I'm sorry, we did.
No. I just once read a story about people that mispronounce words. And people that mispronounce words, they've learned those words from reading them and not hearing them.
Right.
So it's an interesting deal. I mean, they know the word, but they may not be saying it correctly, but it's because they learned the word from reading it and not hearing it spoken.
I don't believe in excuses, but that is my reason for mispronouncing it.
Because you learned it from reading it and saying it how you think it should be said, and not how it's supposed to
Dude, I
be
love
said.
that, brother. I never even thought of that. That is actually true, because I mispronounce, or actually sometimes because my vocabulary, I will make up words.
And you may not know it for years until you hear somebody say it right. I think of the precipice is one of those words that if you read it, you won't read it as precipice.
Right. Yeah.
But
Sure.
anyway, it's one of those ones.
Unless you've never heard. And I grew up overseas. And so many of my friends learned English from somebody who read a lot of English and speak a lot of English. So when I was around my friends in Germany, I grew up mostly in Germany. So when I was around my German friends, they spoke things, and sometimes I learned very early how to listen and spell in my mind as they said things, because it didn't come out the way that I knew how to say them. And then I was able to help them say them the right way. I didn't do as well in my English class in German school because I couldn't pronounce things the way they were pronouncing them. So I think I got like a B in English in German school as an American. Because, and also they were speaking British English, not American English, which is, they speak it wrong in England. Let's be honest. 1776, ladies and gentlemen, here, let's give you, you got to have.
I'm glad we can teach them how to do it.
1776 to 1776. There we go. I can't reach that far.
Across
We're
the-
good. All right.
Nice glasses, got a good.
I do.
It's good. Like I said, it's like a miniature Canadian Glencairn.
Without spending $15 a piece on the Glencairn glasses, it's
My favorite whiskey glass is the ones that have a bump in the bottom.
my favorite whiskey
And
glass
they're
is the kind.
made for a round ice cube. And you can roll that around that bump in the bottom. I really like those.
My favorite whiskey glass is the one that has whiskey.
Yes.
You know, I will say, when I go to I guess we'll say a dive, I order a nice whiskey neat. It's served in a whiskey shot glass.
Right.
It's cringe.
So
What did you just do to that spirit? That is not how I'm going to enjoy that spirit.
So I'm like Josh. My favorite beer or whiskey has always been OPB, and that's other people's beer.
It always tastes the best.
It's always the best. Always.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. OPs.
when somebody else makes it.
Yeah.
Somebody else makes it.
I mean, I'm a good cook.
Yeah. Well, we need to find out about that.
Okay.
All right. Next grotto. I volunteer you. You just volunteered yourself.
As the nominee MC,
That's right.
Start right there.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You're at.
I did get elected as master of ceremonies tonight for grotto, which is part of the line, an elected position in grotto, and I have no idea what my actual duties are yet, but I plan on finding out.
Well, I trust that you will define them beyond all others.
You know, it almost all.
Thank you, brother, for your confidence and positivity.
Well, you
As-
survey it, so why not all?
That's the theme of the night was positivity and confidence.
You know, in almost all of the Masonic events, Masonic bodies, we meet to eat and we eat to meet.
Yeah.
And that comes down to spending valuable time with your brethren.
Yeah. So one could say we feed our belly and we feed our soul.
Absolutely. That's good.
Social intercourse.
Yes.
Be careful,
It's
Yeah, I know.
yeah. It's
So that was a little joke that we'll cut out later. All right. But I got to.
Poor Josh would be hit the edge
He's gonna
of
edit
tonight.
He's going to edit everything I said.
Yeah.
Well, Keith was here, but we edited it
We'll
all
just
out.
say Keith Jones. Keith Jones is going to look
If you
like
like
on
to
Sin.
enjoy Keith Jones, here's the shorts.
Just the big purple grape that didn't say nothing the whole night.
Keith and I love Keith. He's a great man. He's a great person, great brother, great Mason, great friend. And I don't know if he's a great electrician. I haven't seen his work, but I assume.
Well, you know he's a great electrician because you've never heard anything that he's worked on burned down.
True. Yeah.
There are, we talked about it ours together, there are old electricians and there's bold electricians. But there's no old, bold electricians.
True.
I still have all my fingers and all my toes.
So you have not learned.
I learned a long time ago. My wife a long time ago told me, stop doing electric work. That's it. That's the whole story. There's a lot behind that story, but that's the story.
Yeah.
There are underlying stories.
We won't even talk about the stories behind the story.
By the way,
Hey, we're almost done with the
that
when you run out, I'm taking the last of this.
the pumpkin cheese, after my
Easy.
Sorry.
after my third piece, I realized if it had a little bit of cream cheese on it, it might taste like pumpkin pie.
Dude, as soon as you suggested that flavor, like cream cheese just flowed in my mouth, and like that would be a great flavor clarify.
That'd be a great one.
for sure.
All right, so
Oh, I could dip it in.
with apologies to Dana the cheese lady,
or mascarpone. Like
a little bit of
We might have to try that.
Yeah.
pumpkin pie cheese.
Pumpkin pie cheese. Is that what we're pointing at, or
Everything. Every time I taste it, I'm thinking I like larceny.
this cheese needs a little bit of caramel flavor.
It does have a pumpkin pie taste. I spit on the table. It does have a nice pumpkin pie taste.
Brother, that bottle seems a little full. Let me.
It is. Yeah, help that.
Not much left. We need to leave a little for the infinity ball.
Oh, this goes into the thing.
Whatever's left of it.
It ain't gonna get much.
Give it a little bit.
Buy you a little more. I could give some back.
Yeah.
Now that
We need to have enough for a
No
final
backwash.
close.
No, leave a little for a final
you got
taste.
more there, brother. I'm gonna be happy with that.
All right. So we are changing our whiskey tasting now. For those of you who are who like our playlists and are on the whiskey tasting playlist, we're changing it to festive board. And and I'm not going to talk about the other thing, but we're changing to festive board. We're going to have a little more than just whiskey at times, but because there's a brother I want to have come on here who doesn't like whiskey. His name is Victor Schaefer, and we're going to bring him on here, and he doesn't like whiskeys.
We're gonna have a. I'm gonna find a.
We're going to have a tequila night.
No, I'm gonna find a white Cuban rum for him.
Yes,
All right.
I'm
That is his drink of choice. I think.
He's Mexican.
Right, but boy, his conviction in the white Cuban rum
You think so?
makes me want to buy that brother.
That Papa Pillar is good. We need to look at that.
I think that's what we need.
Lana's going to be edited out.
diplomatic a little.
How lucky are you to be able to learn how to edit a video as such?
I know. Isn't that great? And I'm positive about it.
That's
I'm
right.
positive that I'm going to edit out some of this.
Well, it's good to be positive.
It's good.
Great to be positive.
So the whole idea is of this whole entire session, and here's the thing about Freemasonry. I keep going back to Brotherhood every time we talk. Is it's great to be around brothers. We have different views, different ideas, different thoughts, but in the end, we're brothers.
Sure.
In the end, we have fun. We have a great time, and one thing I want to ask of everyone watching is slow down a little bit in your life.
Yes.
Slow down a little bit. Be intentional in your thinking. Be intentional in your thoughts. Be intentional in your convictions. Change your, okay, so Dave Ramsey. I'm not a huge fan of Dave Ramsey and everything. I mean,
Brother, I live like nobody else, and I can
Yeah.
live like nobody else.
So Dave Ramsey says we need to change our stinking thinking. And I think a lot of times we're so negative, and this world has so much negativity, that what I found in Freemasonry is we put aside our differences. And a lot of times it's just our differences that separate us. And as a nation, we have little, and they're not, when you really take a step back and look at it, they're not huge differences. 80%, I say the majority of Americans, I'll say the majority of Americans, and I think I'm confident in saying this, want to live our lives. We want to take care of our family. We want to earn an honest living to provide for the needs of our family.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
Hurry, yes, sir.
And the pursuit of happiness. Get out of our way. Let us live. And if we change our stinking thinking, stop listening to whatever news organization in the world is telling us, and stop for a minute and realize there's more that unites us than what divides us. There's more than that unites us than what divides us. I have
Absolutely.
no idea what these. I don't know or care who you vote. I care and know that you love me. I love you, and we are on this journey of life together.
And that's one of the strongest suits of Masonry is that we don't discuss religion and politics.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is true. It doesn't matter, and you know, I I grieve for our country right now because we've gotten such a negative mindset. But I wanted to talk about positivity, and
I'll say I'm excited for this country.
yeah,
I'm excited for the change. Granted, I feel like a lot of people might have hard times.
yeah,
But then again, when the party's over, who doesn't have a hard time?
sure,
You know, I feel like, tough times create easy men. Easy men create hard times. And I feel like everything's circular too.
Yeah.
And that's what, one thing that I've found being inside these walls, and we've talked about positive energy and spreading out a ripple, when we get together, our ripples are confined in this wall. But when we walk outside those doors, what are we spreading? And then when we come together, we reunite. We're spreading these great ripples. And it's up to us when we leave these doors to continue that. We want positive. Because just like when your back hurts, your knees hurts, that was a compound of bad posture.
right,
That over time, those compound stimulus has created pain. Well, it's up to us to create those compounding effects that create joy, happiness, love, union.
And we need to spread that outside of these walls.
Exactly. And I hope all brothers, when they leave any floor work, any degree, or just stated meetings,
Yeah.
that's what they carry outside these doors. And it might be lost within a few days. But
Yeah.
on our next meeting, those brothers come in. The energy is reunited. That ripple is expanded again, and it gets to go back out to our community. And that's what I love about this, brother.
Every person needs to know that we're a Mason, not by what we say or what we profess or shout out. It's by our actions and how we treat other people.
Yes. Holding that door for that lady or that brother that just came out of the grocery store.
yeah,
That is just a huge ripple. I don't see that a lot these days. It almost catches people off guard when you hold a door for them.
It's true.
And on that moment, smile.
Oh,
It is the most infectious, positive thing you can do.
it's the cheapest thing you can give your fellow brother or fellow
But,
citizen.
when we're lodged or when we're within these walls, as you said, when we meet, we shake hands and give each other a hug.
we do.
And have you ever seen anybody that does that doesn't have a smile?
Right.
It's true.
And we just need to expand outside these walls. And I try to do that to my best ability. It's when someone's having a down day or
Maybe not grab a stranger and hug them, but yeah. Hey, sometimes yes.
Sometimes.
Yes.
It's as simple as being courteous in your driving.
Except,
Yeah.
and smile.
Right there, that right there says it all, brother. Because I could sit there, but at that moment, it's up to me. Do I want to feel like that now, or do I want to instantly be like, "Hey, I hope you get to your destination."
Yeah. Always.
I can be irritated at you for a moment, but boy, I hope you make it to your destination safely. And you have a
Each of us.
Right.
Yeah.
The last working tool we learn about in Freemasonry is the trowel. In the trowel, we talk about spreading the brotherly love.
It's what joins us together.
It what joins us together as Freemasons. And I believe if we start spreading positivity, if we spread brotherly love around our country, and bigger than our country, around our world.
The cement that unites us all together.
Cement that
And
unites
what
us.
happens when it cures? Boy, it gets hard and strong, right?
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
And as our worshipful brother Lee Cook says at the end of everything, every human being has a claim
on our kind offices.
on our
There you
kind
go.
offices. You're gonna die.
Recommend more especially the household of faithful. And finally, brethren, be all of one mind.
All in one mind.
Live in peace, and may the God of love and peace delight to dwell with and bless.
And with that, thank you so much for joining us. Remember, as you travel east, you gain more light. Safe travels, my friends.
And a toast.
A toast.
To positivity and brotherly love.
May your ripples run wide.
May your ripple run. That's great.